Let's see. It looks like we are a couple minutes in. I know we have a ton to get through today. So let's get started. Hello, everyone. My name is Marin. I am on the marketing team here at Sewer AI, and welcome to Sewer AI University. Today, we are going to be going over Command the Maps, layers, links, and locating work in Pioneer. As always, we have our lovely hosts from our customer enablement team. We have John, Tara, and Jess. And then we actually have two guest stars today from our product team. We have Sean, who is our product manager, and Seth, who is our principal product manager. So, welcome, guys. We're excited to have you here.
Happy to be here.
Okay, as usual to start, guys, let's give a shout out to our superhuman of the month this month. This month we have Zach Herman from Pipe and Plant Solutions. Zach, shout out, you absolutely crushed it last month in auto codes. We want to keep celebrating you guys. So keep putting in the work out there in the field, and we will have another highlight next month.
All right, John, I think you're up.
All right. Uh, those of you who've been around for a few of these sessions now are familiar with our Discord community. You can scan this barcode on your phone and hop in that community there. It's just a great place to connect with peers, to connect with pretty much the entire SewerAI team. You can drop in feature requests in there. You can ask us questions. We'll be hosting community events eventually. We're still working through some of those details, but yeah, hop in and say hi. And if you got something you want to talk about, we've got some sections there around like equipment, a lot of the equipment that y'all are using in the field. We've got a whole bunch of just details in each of those equipment sections around some basic configurations for each of those in your trucks. So yeah, great resource for you. Hop on in and say hi. All right. So housekeeping, as we get going here, ask questions. As always, we are a very interactive group here, so we love to get your questions. We love your feedback. You can drop those questions right here in the chat, and we'll do our best to respond to them as quick as we can. I might pause whoever is speaking to bring your question up in the moment, or we may save it until the end of the session. But just know we will get to all of your questions. You can also drop them in the Q&A, and there's a little Q&A button down there in your Zoom controls, and you can pop that in there, and that question can come in anonymously if you prefer, and we'll get to those as well, typically in our Q&A session, which will happen towards the end here. Finally, at the end of our session today, as always, there will be a survey. That survey is super helpful for us in determining what content we're going to go over next or in the future sessions. Also, just helps us know how we're doing, what you'd like to see different, what you loved, what you didn't love, whatever the case is. We love the feedback. It helps us improve this program month over month, and super helpful for us. And then finally, this session, of course, is being recorded as always. And at the end of the session, actually probably tomorrow morning, we'll send out a follow-up email. It'll have any of the documentation that we've prepared for you for this particular topic today, as well as a recording, the link to the recording. So if you wanted to share it or watch it again, feel free to do that. All right.
Awesome. Thank you, John. Hello, everyone. I am super excited about today's session. It's been a while since we've covered maps, and we've got a ton of new features that we want to show you guys. So for the agenda today, we're going to start with today's topics. So super high level, what we're covering. Most of our time is going to be spent in a Pioneer actually showing you guys the buttons and the clicks and how to do everything. Sean and Seth are here to help me out with that part on some of our newer items. And then we'll finish off with our Q&A session. So like John mentioned, ask questions in the chat, put them in that Q&A, and we'll make sure we get everything answered for you. All right. So starting off with our inspection maps, we're going to go through all of the things that we've had kind of historically. We're going to go over how to import different layers, how to track your work visually, how to kind of see things on the map, filter down, maybe assigning work to your field crew. But we're also going to be going over some brand new things today. So now we have the option to kind of edit existing layers that we weren't able to do before. We've got some improvements with our ESRI integration. So we've got more of a dynamic two-way sync. And we can even create blank layers and new assets. So we're really excited to go over all of that with you. And then we're going to be talking a little bit about Command Center as well. So Command Center is kind of a chat-based tool that we have that has access to all of your data. So it knows all of the things about all of your inspections, where you can ask questions, have it do different functions for you in Pioneer. You can make reports and maps and take actions. And there's a ton of different things that we're still figuring out that it can do. So it's currently live for everybody. If you guys have, the chance to try it out, we encourage you to do so. But for today's session, because we're talking maps, we're going to be doing a couple targeted things in Command Center that we've learned that you can do with our Command Center here. So awesome. Without further ado, because we've got a ton to get through today, we're going to move into our how-to in Pioneer. So just like in that order that I said, we're going to go through our maps overview, and then what's new in maps, and finishing off with Command Center. So let me get out of here really quick and move over to my Pioneer screen. Awesome. So right now I am here on the main inspections page, but most of today is going to be done right here in inspections maps and then again in Command Center. So I'm going to click here to our third option down to inspection maps. So let me see as we're loading up here. Let's take a look and get a little bit of a lay of the land for our inspection maps. So right here across the top, I want to point out our different filtering tools. We're going to talk about that in just a second. Over here on the right, we've got this layers button. So this is going to be your home base for all of the layers that are in your maps section and how to add them. And then down here on the bottom left, we've got a couple different functions that you can do here, maybe changing your visibility or selecting areas and things. So we're going to get into all of that today. But let's start right up here on our filters. So the filters here, they should feel pretty familiar to what you see in the main inspections page. We've got projects and tags and cities. We even have the advanced filters that you have on your main inspections page. So all of that should feel pretty familiar, but these first two are different. So I do like to call out that these ones are different. We've got the search address and the asset ID because these two are specific to the map, and these are the ones that are going to zoom you to a specific asset or an area in the map. So if you were to search an address, it'll center that address. Alternatively, if you use the asset ID, if you put in a pipe segment reference, lateral segment reference, or manhole number, it will center that asset for you. The reason why I'm stressing this is because all of these other ones may have multiple lines that applies to that filter, if that makes sense. So by using these ones, you do kind of need to know which area you're focusing on when you use these filters, and then it will turn on and off those assets accordingly. All right, so let's move on over to our layers section. So over here, if you don't see anything in this area, you may not have a layer yet. So all of the layers that you have uploaded into your account will be listed right here. If you don't have a layer, this is where you're going to add a layer. We'll get into that. And then maybe you do have some layers, but you still don't see anything. These little eyeballs here, that is what enables that map layer. So I just turned that on and turned it off and turned it back on. And that's going to help you view those assets. And if you're still not seeing it, these arrows pointing in, that is going to center you to that specific map layer. So if you're having any visibility things going on, check this layers section to see if you have a layer and if it is turned on. All right, now let's take a look at this color coding for your inspections. So right now, by default, it's set up to your status in Pioneer. So if you're looking at my map here, you're seeing some orange, you're seeing some blue. So those orange assets there, those are our upload pending rows. The blue ones are things that are uploaded. Maybe if you're using auto code, you're gonna see some purple or some green for their auto code status. And then all of these other gray guys, these are your assets that do not have an inspection related to it yet. But if you click this drop down here, you also have the option to view it more so on a rating index scale. So if I were to click over here, now you can see we've shifted to a slightly different color coding on a scale of green, meaning your pretty good lines, all the way to red, which are going to be your most severe lines. So you can absolutely choose that color coding. And if at any point you are like, what am I looking at? We have a legend right here on the bottom. So it's going to change based on what color coding view that you have. So you're going to have your rating index as well as any other icons or features you may see here on the map. All right, I personally like the status. I'm going to click back to there. And then lastly, this is where you can toggle your visibility. So if I were to start zooming in, you can actually see your flow direction. You can see little comments and things. So if you want to toggle any of these on and off, like if I turn off flow direction, that movement's going to stop there. So this is going to help you focus in on what you really want to look at. Alrighty, and then down here on the left-hand side, we've got some different style options. So right now I'm set up for my default. So if you like this view, you can leave it there. But you do have the option to get a satellite view. Maybe you didn't know we had a tennis court or something right here you'd like to look at. So satellite view, and then maybe if this is a bit distracting, you can actually do kind of this CAD plan that really just has the parcels. It's a little bit more pared down, but whatever you're most comfortable with, pick your poison. All right, and then again, from left to right, moving across the bottom here on these icons, we've got our drawing selection tool. We're gonna get a little bit more into it there, but this is how you can pick areas on your map. How we can add new assets. That's a new feature that Sean's gonna walk us through, move those endpoints, and then we already talked about the legend. All right, so now that we've got a bit of a lay of the land, let's talk about bringing in layers. So I'm going to click over here into my layer section again, and I'm going to press add layer. We've got a lot of options for you on how to bring different layers in. So my first option is to import from ArcGIS. I'm going to click this one. We're not going fully through the ESRI option today, but I'll talk you through it really quick. We can pull in layers from ArcGIS Online. So having that toggle, pressing sign in, that's going to prompt you to go log into your ESRI account and select layers you'd like to pull forward. We do have the option to integrate with your enterprise account. So if you do have that, there's a couple extra access steps that you need to take. And I highly recommend connecting with your technical account manager, but you will have full documentation sent to you on that as well. If you're feeling like you want to do it yourself, completely up to you. Then the last ESRI option here is importing from a public URL as well. So simply clicking there, pasting that in, and proceeding on are some of your ESRI options. Back in my layers section, we also have the option to import static map files, which is what I'm going to do today, and then the blank layer that Sean is going to show us. So I'm going to click here for import map file, and we can bring in two different file types here. So I'm going to bring my file browser over, and we can bring in a GeoJSON or zipped shapefiles. So those shapefiles, you do want to have all of the layer information zipped up together in order for it to take here. But I've got a GeoJSON. I'm going to drag and drop that over, and that's going to process up here really quick. While that's going, if you are using our risk and rehab tool, you do want to bring in your map here as well. So that will still be done on this section. All right. Awesome. So one thing I like to point out, regardless of the option that you chose from ESRI or one of these static files, from here on, so step 2 on, should all look about the same. So first thing it's asking me here is to add some details about the map layer that I'm bringing in. So the first thing I'm going to choose is my asset type. For the one that I brought in, that is a mainline layer. And then we want to give our layer a name. So I do like to be intentional when I'm naming a layer. I like to maybe have the city or area, basin, whatever that I'm working in. And if you're bringing in a static file, I really highly recommend adding a date as well of the last time it was updated if you're planning on bringing newer versions in as well. And then lastly here, we have the option to tie it to a project. That is optional. If you're perhaps a city that's going to be doing a lot of projects within one map, you don't have to associate it with a project at all, but maybe you're a contractor or an engineering firm where your projects and your maps are pretty one-to-one. You could tie those together, and then it helps with maybe adding people with project level access in the future. So I'm not going to add a project now, but that is completely an option for you. And then I'm going to continue here, and I'm going to be doing a bit of a matching step. So the first thing up here is selecting my asset ID. This is the only required matching step that you have when you're bringing in a map. For me, because I selected a main line, it's asking me which GIS field over here matches to my pipe segment reference. If I were to bring in a lateral layer, that would have been my lateral segment reference. If it were a manhole layer, it would be asking me for my manhole number. This is the only required one because it's the most important. This is going to be the key that ties your inspections back to the map. So as long as your pipe segment reference, lateral segment reference, manhole number is entered in correctly in your inspection, it's going to then reflect and show up here on the map. So that part is really important. In my set of data, it's this SS main ID, and you can see an example up there to make sure it looks correct. All right, and then everything else below here is optional to match. So I've got my GIS fields and then my Pioneer or my NASCO field right here. It's optional because these are going to be the fields that will populate when you either start from a map or if you use a prefill. So anything that you want your operator to kind of skip and have populated for them, you should go ahead and match. And if you would like them to maybe verify it in the field, you can leave that off for matching. So maybe I'm going to do material right now, but maybe you'd like your operator to enter that material in. I would leave this unchecked, and then Seth's actually going to show us something later to maybe verify that what they're entering matches your GIS and see if you have anything that you need to make changes for. All right, awesome. For the sake of time, I'm just going to do these two right now. I'll press continue, and then I actually need to do one more matching step. So if any of the fields that you are matching go to a NASCO field with a dropdown or a set list of inputs, I guess that it can be, you will need to match all of those materials to ensure that it imports correctly. So essentially what I would do is I'd move my way down this list and make sure that VCP is VCP, PVC is PVC, and so on and so forth. And then everything looks good. It's all meeting that NASCO standard. You can go ahead and press create assets. I've already brought this layer in. I'm not going to pull this one in right now, but pressing that create assets, that's going to go ahead and start our map up for us. And then you'll have this lovely layer here. But that is essentially the process for pulling in a layer, regardless of the source that you choose. You will go through that matching step. Back here in this layers box, I do want to show you, now we have a couple things that we can edit. So before you'd bring in the map layer, it was kind of set with however you did the first time. If you were to click these three dots now, you do have the option to rename your layer. Maybe you wanted to take a second stab at it, or you do need to go and edit any of your field mappings. Those are now an option for you if you click those three dots. And then you also have some download options here as well. So maybe you want to generate a GeoJSON or a shapefile, you can click those and bring those updated versions down. One other thing, I think Sean's going to talk about it as well. If this is a layer from ESRI, you will have the option to refresh these too to make sure all of your data is up to date. All right, so now let's actually go ahead and take a look at some of these assets. So I'm going to look at this layer instead. I'm going to go ahead and zoom over here. And I'm going to scroll on in and maybe find a line that I want to look at. So this one looks interesting for me. And the further that you zoom in, the more information you're going to start seeing. I'm going to pull up this legend here so you can see. All of these little dots here, those are your different asset features and defects. So if you click on them, you're going to have the snapshot pull up, and you're able to kind of see what's going on in the pipe, where it's at in that timestamp along your line here. So it's pretty cool. You don't actually have to, open the inspection to see what's going on in there. This one, it doesn't look like I have any taps, but the taps are actually going to reflect on the side that they're located as well. So you get a nice visual here when you zoom in. And then if I were to click somewhere that is not one of the defects, you're going to have this pop over here. So right on the top, we've got our asset ID, and you're able to see any kind of cleaning or inspection history, as well as your GIS data right here down below. So if I were to click this one, this is a pending cleaning. If I were to click my little sweeper, I could go take a look at my cleaning inspection. Or if I were to click this one here, it's going to open me up in a new tab and I can look at it on my inspection review page. So you can easily move between the map and your actual video of those inspections. A couple things that you can do here on existing inspections. If I click these three dots, maybe it ended in an MSA, you can mark that you were unable to inspect it and the reason why. And you can also add additional info here. So maybe there was something notable that happened. You can type this in and it'll actually pull into the additional info field in your survey. All right. And then another thing here, this plus sign, you can start a new pending inspection straight from the map. This will be an individual line. I'll show you how to do it in bulk in a second. You can start a cleaning from the map. This is something that's new as well. We've had this request a lot, so you can do this from the web or from the truck. You can start your cleaning inspection right here. So a lot of different things that you can do here right from our map. And then I'm going to pop back to my other layer and show you how to either select and assign some inspections before I pass it over to Sean. So I'm going to be using the draw tool to do that. So maybe I want to see what is going on in these inspections right here. I can grab my drawing tool and then I'm going to use individual dots. So I'm clicking, click, 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 click to select this area. And then to get rid of this, I'm going to double click on that last one there. So now I have my polygon drawn and I have some options that have populated here at the bottom. So I can either create pre-fills or view it on the table. So this one, I've got some data, so I'm going to view it on the table. And then you're going to see a lot of these different options that you have from the inspections page. Maybe you want to kick this off to auto code. Maybe you want to make some reports or pull a CSV from here. This was going to function the same way that main inspections page does. And then let me click back over here. Maybe I'd like to assign some of this work to my field crew. I want to do an area that I know that they haven't done before, so I'm going to pick one of these gray ones. And I'm going to, again, click that draw button. I'm going to click around the area, double click on that last one. And then I'm going to press this create pre-fills and assign. So from here, it's going to allow me to select a project, and then all of your operators are going to be populated here as well. I'll assign it to myself. And then from here, that is going to create some pre-filled inspections in this area. But that is essentially what I wanted to go over with you guys today. Sean has some other things in store. So we've gone over the map basics, and Sean's going to tell us a little bit more about some of our newer features here. So I'll stop my share and pass it over to you, Sean.
Okay, thanks, Tara.
Of course.
All right. I'm on the map interface that Tara was just showing to everyone. So we have some new features. So Tara was showing importing layers, whether it's a GeoJSON, shapefile. You can also connect to ESRI with ArcRLine or enterprise account. But we're in the process of rolling out a new feature. You can ask your account manager to enable it for you, but I'll show it off here to where you can create blank layers and add asset attributes. So I will show you how to do that. So you go here to add a layer, add blank layer. Oops, I don't think I clicked it. Add a blank layer. You can give that layer a name. Test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It can be mainline, lateral, or manhole. You have to give it a pipe ID. We do pipe ID by default, but you could change this too if you want to. And then you can add attributes to fill in. So I already have diameter and material, but I'm going to add one more for length. And you click save. It's behind the pylon button. We're going to quickly update that soon. You can talk to Dan and Tawan if you want to first, but click this. And you can't go back and change these attributes, so make sure you have what you want here. And save. Cool, you saw the lines, disappeared. It's because I'm on this layer I just made. There's no lines yet, so now you can go in and draw them. And you'll use this tool down here. And I'll click, double click. And now here are the fields. So I have to give it an ID 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Say it's 8-inch length, 150 feet. Material, do plastic, and create asset. Cool. And so now it's just shown up on the map. You can keep drawing. I'm not on the truck software, but if you are on the truck software, you can click this line now. You could start an inspection. You can also edit the information here. So if I want to, oh, actually it's not 8, it's 10. Can save those changes. You can do all the functions now that Tara was just showing you on the map with this, assigning this inspection to inspect later, creating a pending inspection. And let's say you do get out in the field or you made a mistake in drawing it, you can edit it. So you can grab this, click the line. You can move this. Oh, actually, it's on this street. Move it down here, double click it. Oops. And is this the correct? Yes, it is. So that's creating blank layers and drawing assets on layers. You can go here. You can export this as a GeoJSON or shapefile, bring it into ESRI. You could use it as a deliverable if you're doing locating for a client. So really cool function. We're rolling it out. It's not on for everyone, so ask us about it, and we're happy to turn it on for you and get you started on it. Okay, the next thing I'm going to show off now is I'm going to go to this layer here. Turn this one off. Okay, so this layer I have imported. I signed into ESRI Enterprise account, and I pulled this layer in. As Tara was showing, you have some more functions here, such as refresh, which is going to pull any updated information from ESRI into Pioneer. And we have this new one now to push data back to your ESRI. So I'll show you how that works, to where you can push back a Pioneer link and a Pioneer PDF. So I've already kind of set this up a little bit just on time. But I'm on this asset. I'm going to go to my ESRI so we can all see it. Yeah, this is the one I want to do. Okay, we can see here, I have this inspection in Pioneer. And I'm just going to go to my ESRI account here. Hopefully this looks familiar to some of you. You can see we're looking at the same area. That's the line. And right now there's some information on there. I've already pushed back information, and you can see there's these fields here: Pioneer inspection URL, Pioneer report URL. If you're on Enterprise, you do not have to add these in. The first time you do a sync back, we will write these in for you. But if you are using Arc Online, you do need to add these fields into your feature service layer. Okay, so there's our line. I'm going to go back to Pioneer. Okay, I've done an inspection here, and I want to push that back to ESRI. I simply go here, sync Pioneer links to ESRI, start sync. We'll give it a second. So it's looking, as it's processing, it's looking, there's like 2,000 layers or 2,000 assets on this. Great, I had 4 inspections here, and it pushed back I have 4 out of the 2002 with videos on it, so it pushed back 4 of them and 4 reports. If you have multiple inspections, it's going to send back the most recent inspection information. Okay, done. Okay, let's go look at it here. So here's that same line again. I'm going to scroll down, and here are the fields. And again, you can click this link. I can view that inspection now in Pioneer. And we also generate a report that you can view as well too if you want to look at a static report versus a video. Okay, I'm going to show you a couple more things in bringing in layers, and I'm going to show you something cool with Command Center. We've had requests to bring in other layers outside of just sewer lines. You can now do that. I'll keep this one on. You can bring in right now it is a display only layer, but I'll show you how to do that. It does talk to your ESRI, but if you can also bring in public URLs instead, and I'll do that. So I just did a search here. I found this historic public data for public sites. It's deprecated, but should still work. And I'm going to copy that feature service layer back into Pioneer and display layer. Cool. You'll notice here these display layers look a little different. They have like an orange dot or a colored dot here. So they stand out. They're going to look different than your sewer layers. And I'm going to zoom. I know where this one is. It's around the downtown. So these are all the historic sites in this town. You can see where they are in relation to your sewer assets. But, let's say you want to bring in lift stations. I'll do another one too here. Let's add one more. I'm going to grab this. This is more like a parcel layer. So it's not just dots or lines. You can also highlight and show areas. So if you want to show parcels, you can do that. I did a giant outline of this city here. But really any layer that is a feature service layer, whether it's on your enterprise or online or a public layer, you can bring in a Pioneer now to display it and look at it as it is in relation to your sewer assets. Okay, one more thing. I'm going to turn these off. Now let's say you inspected this line and the diameter says 6, but when you go into the inspection here, once it loads, okay, I click this one. I'd already opened this one. I said, okay, so it had said 6 on the GIS data, but when I go to look at height, we had actually recorded as 12 in the field. Now, let's say you want to resolve these issues, you can now use Command Center to do that. So Seth is going to really dive into some new Command Center features, but I wanted to show this as well too in relation to maps that you can do because it is now talking with your ESRI account. So I'm going to go to Command Center. I already got one opened here. This is the starting interface. You already have some presets you can select, but I already know what I want to do, so I'm going to start with that. Find me differences between my GIS data and my inspection data or my poorly named layer, test layer, test layer, test layer. We'll give it a second to do its thing and think. So again, I'm gonna go back to my ESRI and just show this line again. So go down to diameter here. There it is, diameter 6 right now. Oh, okay. So it found this asset. It said in your GIS, it says 6, but on the inspection, it says 12. Okay. And I can simply just say promote. and push. And I'm getting that, it's talking to me. It said, hey, do you want to make the inspection value 12 as the asset value? So make this 6 to 12. And then ask me, would you like me to push this back? And all I simply say, I mean, I could have said yes, but I'll say yes, promote and push, please. I'm a believer the nicer you are to AIs, the more they help you. Okay. So it's done it. It's already done it. It's been applied. I'm going to go back here now. I'm just going to close that and open it again. And you can see here the diameter has now been updated to 12. So it's a great tool. You can use Command Center to reconcile differences between your GIS data, your inspection data, and you can push it back. Now I did that for one asset, but we know you guys are dealing with hundreds of thousands, hundreds to thousands of assets at a time. You can do that all in bulk. It doesn't have to be one at a time. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing and turn it back to you, Tara.
Thanks, John. That was great. I'm actually going to pass it right back over to Seth now, who's going to talk us through a couple more of those Command Center things that you can do with the map.
Hi, everyone. Seth Dickinson here. Nice to see you all. Good to be back on SewerAI University. Indeed, I'm going to show Command Center generally because I know it's very possible that some people on this call have not yet seen it, but I will focus on maps because that's our topic today. Let me bring up my browser and do a share. Oh, I see there's a poll that popped up. So for those of you who may not have spotted it in the last month or so, if I go to my main page, there is a Command Center item in the left-hand nav of Pioneer Now. As Tara said at the top of the hour, Command Center is effectively not like chatting with John and his team. It is a chat-based interface that's powered by AI that has access to your inspection data, your GIS data, whatever else you're storing with us. And it can do many, if not most, of the things a human could do in Pioneer, as well as a lot more. And really, when you boot it up, you see there's 8 buttons here that are prefabbed prompts and give you a sense of some of the things Command Center can do. It can help with project management. It can analyze how the team is doing. It can do analytics on your production or the work that's been underway. It can help plan for the future. It can make long running, make me a 6-month CCTV program plan. It can build really high quality reports. And I will touch on a few of these things right now. But basically, if there was a filter or search you used to do in Pioneer or wish you could have done, or there were buttons you would have clicked to do a bulk action, Command Center can do those things for you. So it can modify data, it can create packages, it can prep things for your review. And really, you only have to know the English language to help it do that. So I'll give you some real simple ones before I get into the map ones, I think just as an example. And you see over on the right-hand panel here, there's my chat history. So these are the things that I've chatted about. Those can all be searched and also renamed to be easier to find for you. But this is one I just did truly at the top of the hour. Really simple. Just give me a chart of how many inspections we did for each month for the prior period. It spit me out a table, but you see that it also created a document here. I can click preview, and it's going to give me a nice chart of the inspection velocity of the team. Now, you can do very complicated analysis. It doesn't have to be this. It can get way more into the weeds. And again, you don't have to use Excel. In the past in Pioneer, you either had to use our analytics page, which had a limited number of charts, or you would have had to download CSVs and make your own charts. Now you can do this all live and ask for a whole number of other things. It can be sliced and diced in any ways that the data make available. Another thing that it can do is make reports. So I have an example here. I said Public Works Director. If you scroll back to the top of my chat, build me a leadership ready PDF report for the Budget Commission, include a whole bunch of data about the work we've done in the last year, and a recommended rehab package for next fiscal year. So we don't have to follow the whole chat, but it basically did a bunch of work. It gave me some clarifications. It made $1 million budget. It created a report. I then asked it to do some modifications to put a map on the second page. And where we've ended up right now is here. If I click the preview button, um, we get a report. Our sewer is what we found and what we should fix first. It generated a map of all the where the worst pipes are. We got 4 assets that are of significant concern with photographs and evidence for fixing them. What I want to emphasize is this report may not be exactly what you need. You might have formatting. You can very easily ask it to include or exclude photographs, make submaps, add additional data. But something that would have taken a long time for analysis and a long time for formatting and layout, particularly the formatting and layout part, we're finding that customers of ours are finding this really efficient because you can ask the system for changes and it can change it. If you need to reduce the budget, it can do it quickly. If you need to lay this out in a different way, it can do it quickly. If you need longhand or shorthand, you need executive summary, the tool is really able to do that. So it can take your data, it can do analysis, it can do artifact generation, report generation is what we might call that. Lots of other things, and happy to take some questions during the Q&A about what else Command Center can do. Again, it's in the left-hand nav for everyone. If you click the plus to make a new chat, you get some ideas about the kinds of things it can do. Now, specifically on today's topic, maps, GIS mapping, what are some of the things that Command Center can do? So let me give you a few examples. And again, I have some, this is like a cooking show where you have the thing already baked, but I can do it live, right? I want to map all our MACP from the last 6 months, and I can type that in. And we actually added a new feature just yesterday that probably even my team hasn't seen, where you can save this prompt. So if you actually have typed something really cool that was really useful, you can save it with this plus a bookmark, and then they're retrievable under this bookmark. And those prompts can be saved to your own instance or to the team. If you've written a really good one, you can save it. But I'll queue that one up. In the meantime, I'll do the cooking show move where we hop over. So I asked over here, give me all our MACP inspections. And in this case, earlier today, I asked to score it in order by LOF, by likelihood of failure. So it gave me a table of all the MACP inspections. I've got 141 in this account, and it ordered them by LOF and grouped them. But then to today's topic, I said, hey, for those top 40, can you put them on a map for me? And I actually zoomed out of the map earlier, so I don't know. I lost my center point here, but it put them on a map. And then I said, will you build me a shapefile out of that? And so ultimately what we can do is I have all 40 assets on a shapefile that I can pull down. It's showing me here all the attributes it generated, and I can bring that into any mapping software I want. I can actually say re-render these on a display map, please, here in the chat. We probably need to add a recenter button to the inline map. But I can use Command Center to generate maps, either just for my own view, but also to make map artifacts. And as Sean showed us earlier, you can actually push those back to ESRI as well. So all of that is available in this Command Center tool. For those of you who have been Power GIS as pro users, like it is not typically super easy to make a map, and you can do that now in Command Center. Similarly, I wanted to show PACP pipes recommended for lining. So I made a query about find me 10 pipes that are recommended for CIPP lining. So this is now tying Command Center to our risk and rehab software. For those of you who are using risk and rehab, it has knowledge of the risk of the pipe and likely recommended actions. So it gave me a whole set of 10 lines that are recommended for CIPP repair. I actually asked it to drop one of the lines that was in a sort of a non-adjacent geographic area. And again, I'm really sorry. I must have uncentered my map. Let's just start again. Let me make a new one because we'll show the power of it. So find me 10 lines in need of CIPP from our PACP data. Let's just start over. You do have to wait a few seconds when you're using a chat interface, but it's really amazing how quick it is. While that guy's working, part of what I want to show you here and get to the end of is had a use case that we've heard a lot in the past from our customers, which is for CIPP projects, people need to be able to reinstate the taps. And often the as-built and information that people have in their GIS doesn't tell them where the lateral connections are. And so we built a skill here into the command center that allows you to do map my tap. So I'm going to switch over to that one. At the end of this project where I asked, find me those 10 lines, I said, can you map all the laterals off of these so I know what to reinstate? So it gave me a description of everything it found, active taps and cap taps. This is obviously based on the NASCO coding. Then it asked me, do I want to include the capped connections? I said no. And it will create a default lateral length. You can set it to 25 feet, 50 feet, whatever is helpful for you to help the team. So I gave that command, and basically it used this map my taps skill to create, I will show you, a map layer, which again, that we can now export. But for all of these lines that were in this planned CIPP project, it mapped out prospective laterals based on all the tap findings in the inspections. And this is a live map that if I click on it, I get, it tells me what the asset is and some basic information about it. There's the overlay was popping up. I don't know why they're always on the live demo. It's popping down in the bottom. Usually it pops over on that. But this is a tap that needs to be reinstated at 11 o'clock that's 50 feet long. And it actually gives me a link to the point in the Pioneer inspection video where that tap is, so I can come review these taps. This is this one right here. And so if I need to verify this against the captured data, I can easily do that. This task traditionally would have taken a very long time based on a bunch of inspections. Now we can ask the, let's say we pick one of these lines. Let's say it's this one here. So I can say for asset, that one, give me a count of the laterals to reinstate. So these kind of tasks that traditionally would have taken a lot of analysis or viewing a video can now be done in Command Center. It looks like there's 11 active taps and a couple capped ones on that asset. So not only is Command Center a data analysis tool, but it's also a mapping and GIS tool. It can do everything from just creating a local map to, as Sean showed us, pushing that data back to ESRI where needed. I think that's what I've got. I'm happy to take questions further about Command Center when we get into the Q&A.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Seth. Thank you, Sean, for all of your help today. John, off to you for the Q&A.
Sure. So I've got one here. Richard asked, does the inspection maps only work with auto-coded inspections, or does it work with uploaded videos as well? Yeah, so your inspection maps, excuse me, will show any assets that you have a video for, assuming the asset ID exists in your GIS layer and matches on that particular inspection in Pioneer. So AutoCode obviously ensures all of the data is accurate and up to date. But yes, if you have some historical data that you want to bring in, those can be represented on the map. And that's actually the only question I have in our Q&A session. So the floor is open. If anybody's got any other questions for anyone on the team, drop them in Q&A, drop them down here in the chat, and we'll be happy to get those answers for you. All right, Cody, is there any chance you could provide a list of high-level prompts that we've had success with? That's a great question. I'll hand that over to Sean or Seth.
The answer is yes. I actually do think your team, someone was compiling, John, from our side, documentation
I think
of
Sam is.
useful and valuable prompts that people have used. Yeah, the truth is they're coming in fast and furious, a couple thousand a week now, but we're seeing some really interesting ones. We demoed some today: report building, annual report building, GIS, data reconciliation. So that's a great question. Let's think about as a team how we sort of do that knowledge base of interesting use cases. I appreciate that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just to jump onto that too, Our session for SewerAI University and I think October will be all about Command Center. So I think we want to talk a little bit more about specific prompts that we've seen people using, and then just some general tips and tricks on how to prompt AI in the first, like in general. So awesome.
Awesome, thanks. Got a question from Randy. Hey, Randy. So in doing a pre-post reline analysis, Randy would like to know if he can do it. Oh, there you go. Oh, sorry, Seth. The chat is scrolling for me. So he wants to know if doing a pre-post reline analysis, can he do it from a list of the mains having been relined and execute the analysis?
Yeah, I think Donnie asked this very similar question, if I'm interpreting them right. Yes. So if both of those inspections are stored in Pioneer and they have the same pipe segment reference, if you notice when Tara was demoing, for every asset, we have its list of historical inspections. So that would be a prompt to write that we could help with. It's a great example. If instead of what I demoed today, you said, for every one of these assets in this project, compare the most recent video to the pre-video that was, and now maybe there's a time window. It would be helpful to give a constraint, right? In the last 30 days, there should have been a pre, or in the last 6 months, or in this project. Compare those two videos and make sure the tap counts are equal. That is absolutely a task that would be fed to Command Center, and it would be very good at.
Awesome. Thank you, Seth. Katie asked, can you insert a link for giscloud.com into a layer? In this case, it's editor.giscloud.com.
I
we'd have to look into more about, it's not, is that an ESRI product? It's not, right? I don't think so.
I don't think.
No, right. I mean, right now it's ESRI Enterprise or ArcGIS Online or static layers that are GeoJSON or shape files. It's a good, I am happy to follow up with you on that though, Katie.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean. Dylan asks, using Command Center, are we able to create layers of multi-typed assets? Example, one layer with manholes, mains, culverts, and drains rather than 4 total.
So we follow the convention, which my understanding is pretty common in the GIS world, of one, what is the word called? Geometry type. So points, lines, polylines, polygons. So my guess would be that manholes and mains wouldn't go together in that case, but mains, culverts, and drains could, depending on how they're represented in your geometry.
Cool. Thank you.
We haven't pushed the envelope on that yet.
All right. Anything else? Got a few minutes left here, folks, before we let you go. While we wait, I thought maybe I'd share a couple of really cool use cases that we've come across over the last week or two. One is importing a PDF version of a map that has some points on it and converting that into a GIS layer. We did that through Command Center. And you know, in the case of like a contractor, perhaps the city hasn't released a GIS layer for you, but they've given you some PDF maps of some section or basin or something you're working on. You can take that and we can help you with some prompting there to actually convert that into a GIS layer you can put in your environment, so you can see that. The other thing, we actually just did this today with another customer. There's a municipality who has a contractor that does all of their lining work, and all their liners have warranties. And they wanted to be able to have a scheduled task that would run that would basically go and look weekly at any new post-liner inspection. They would re-inspect these structures after they'd been lined maybe 3-6 months down the road before the warranty period expired. And then the Command Center agent goes and says, hey, for all the ones that are coming up on expiration for their warranty, we think you need to go look at these 5 or 10 or 20. So the crews can just go out and inspect very quickly, get those up and get them auto-coded or checked, and then Command Center can actually go back and surface those in an automated fashion without anybody actually needing to go look at every one of those videos to determine if warranty work is needed before that warranty expires. All right, I got another question from Randy. So using a construction named asset map that would eventually be replaced by a GIS recorded asset, can we transfer the inspections from the construction asset names to the GIS named assets?
Construction named asset map.
So I'm interpreting this, Randy, that like the labels or the identifiers on the assets during construction are not ultimately what they're going to be on the GIS. That I hope that I'm getting that right. I think the answer is probably we probably want to sit down with you with our technical team and look at the specific use case, but the data can easily be transformed and moved in that way. Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, I think Seth, you nailed it. Yep. All right, cool. Well, we got 2 minutes left, folks. Last chance to get those questions in. Obviously, after the session's over, feel free to reach out to us in the chat. Anyone on the team can either help answer your question or get you connected with someone here on the team, either in product or with your account manager or technical account manager, and be happy to spend some time with you one-on-one, go over any questions, concerns, training, anything you want. We're here for y'all. All right, got a couple more here. Fernando asks, is there a measuring tool on the map?
Not yet, I will say, Fernando.
All right, there we go.
I just saw that question and was about to scope that work because I think that's one that's easily added.
Excellent. All right, good to hear. And Dane says, if you have a contract operator, can they use this exclusively for their inspections, cleanings? And how does this relate or integrate to a separate management system the operator may want to use outside of SewerAI?
You want me to take it? You
Yep.
can answer, John, but okay.
Yep.
So it depends what your outside management system is, I think, Dane. Our system focuses on inspections and cleanings and manholes and main lines and laterals right now. We do integrate to asset management systems like OpenGov and CityWorks Trimble and ESRI. Not necessarily directly to like project management or payment systems you may be using, but we do have a set of public APIs. I don't want to get too technical, but for those who are familiar with APIs, basically there are ways to programmatically, if you have an account with us, reach into your system and get data out of our system and put it somewhere else with someone with very light programming skills can do it. And we have a professional services team who can help pull data in from other places. So it just depends on what the specific use cases and the other software packages, I guess. But those are the main ways in and out. We also have a lot of ways to get CSVs out if you just need sort of raw data to drop somewhere else.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Seth. All right, we are at time, but I do have one more question here. We'll squeeze this last one in for those of you that are going to hang out for a sec. How do I get assets for a layer in the map to show up for just that layer? As an example, I have 2 manhole 1, 2, 3 in different villages we work with, but the inspections show up in each village's assets.
This one, wait, so you have are there 2 separate layers and in there's an asset 1, 2, 3. Asset 1, 2, 3 is on layer A and asset 1, 2, 3 is on layer B.
That's what he's saying, Sean. I think this goes to a comment John made earlier about project-based map layers. We can tie map layers to projects. We'd have to talk about this, Nick. We also have customers who do sub accounts, basically. I think it's a thing you can talk about with your the CE team and the account team. There's ways to structure the data, but I understand what you're getting at and why it's confusing.
Okay, very good. All right, everybody, we are over time. Thank you all so much. As always, we appreciate it. Keep an eye out for the survey after this, and keep an eye out for the follow-up email tomorrow you'll get with a link to the recording as well as documentation. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next month.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.